think you see a lot of relationship breakdown in families with children with disabilities. A lot of the support is focused on mothers, and dads are often forgotten.
What is up, everybody? It is Edgar Jr. of Dad Central, and I always love that background. It just makes you feel like, why are you in the house? You should be outdoors.
I am outdoors, but protected from the elements. True
Nice,
and Dad Central.
nice disclaimer there. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, you are watching, listening to Dad Central Parenting Podcast to reduce stress and build confidence in fatherhood. Our show is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and Dove Men Plus Care believes that care is the best of a man because when men care for themselves and others, there's a positive impact. Another great conversation topic today. We're going to be chatting about supporting kids with special needs, a dad's role in building confidence, connection on the Dad Central show today. So, you're going to learn today understanding your role as a dad, practical ways to support your child, and some other good things in regard to that. But before we get started, I would like to give a definition of special needs when it comes to parenting. So, special needs in context of parenting refers to children who require additional support, resources, or accommodations beyond what is typically needed by children of the same age. This term is broad and can encompass a variety of physical and developmental, behavioral, emotional, or learning differences. So, with that little intro, Drew, before we get into our 3 points, what are your thoughts on this topic today?
Wow. I got lots of thoughts. Some of them supported by research, some of them just my own experience. I mean, parenting is the hardest job as it is, most important. And when you layer on top of it children who are experiencing what you just described, the stresses and the challenges become even harder. I think you see a lot of relationship breakdown in families with children with disabilities. And one of the reasons is that, and I don't say this in to criticize anything, but a lot of the support for parents with children of disabilities is focused on mothers, and dads are often forgotten. I mean, it says fathers' experiences and needs are often overlooked in research and support services, which tend to focus more on mothers. This creates challenges for fathers in navigating their new roles and seeking appropriate support. So, we know that this is consistent, that fathers often don't get the support that they need. And why is this important? It's important for both fathers and for their children because the research is clear that that fathers do play a really crucial and unique role in the lives of children who have special needs. They positively impact their social, emotional, and cognitive development. I mean, at the end of the day, like dads are crucial. Like the research is clear. Any child, special needs or not, dads are crucial. And so the support for dads, the resources for dads who are going through these circumstances is even more important, and it's even bigger of a gap. But let's shift the positive things and say that's why I'm glad we're talking about it, is because I want dads who are out there who are experiencing, a child with special needs. I want you to know we see you, we know you matter, and we want to be here to come alongside you and support you. And I know there are others out there who do the same and want the same, and there are resources and supports for you. So please know that we're here to come alongside you and lift you up as best we can because you're important and you're making a big difference in the life of your child.
Well said. Well said. 3 points we're going to cover today: understanding your role as a dad, practical ways to support your child, and then support for the supporter taking care of you. So let's start off with the number one here: understanding your role as a dad when we're talking about kids with special needs. What do you want to chat about on that?
Yeah, I think it just builds off of what I shared. And so the research findings, if I were to summarize them, is there shows a positive impact when fathers are involved. It's been linked to positive outcomes for children, including improved language development. Our research indicates fathers make unique contributions to their children's lives beyond what mothers typically provide. Fathers of children with special needs often experience increased stress, depression, and challenging. And so, anyways, that's what the research says. Um, and fathers' perceptions of their role, recognizing how important you are, really does impact your ability to actually engage in parenting. And so, oftentimes, dads may not feel as important when they have a child with special needs. Oh, mom's kind of, taking on a big caregiver role. But guess what, dad? You are important. So you need to know that. You have that perception that you're important. We need you to feel included. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts in terms of the role of dad is crucial because what the research says when you get involved, because they're going to benefit. Often think of have you the Rick and Dickie Hoyt story? You know that story? Have you seen that video?
No, I have not.
Okay, I'll tell it briefly. So, Rick Hoyt, his son was born, and they thought he had severe, significant developmental issues. Weren't sure like if he could even talk. Weren't sure if he couldn't talk at all. Weren't sure if he was ever going to like live a normal life. Bottom line is, at a certain point in time, they supported their son as best they could, but I think it got to the age of like 11 or 12, and he finally got this device that could allow him to communicate with his family. And so, for some reason, he took his son out for like a run. Like he just pushed his wheelchair, went out for a run. His son wrote, "When you're running with me, dad, I feel like I'm free," or something to that effect. Bottom line is it inspired the dad, like, well, I'm going to take him out and go for runs all the time. Long story short, like they completed over like 365 Ironman triathlons together, where he carried his son for through the entire thing over and over and over again. They became such a huge inspiration. And so there was like no life expectancy like, for his son, but his son lived to the age of like 51 or 52. He wrote a book. He lived a full life. Like he became independent. Like, I mean, if you want like a story that just validates all the truth that this feature says, just look at Rick and Dickie White.
No.
It's a powerful, overwhelming story of a father's love and how it transformed both the father and the son for amazingly good stuff. So if you don't know it,
Yeah.
Rick and Dickie Hoyt, just Google it. You'll see the couple YouTube videos about it, and you'll find more. But that to me it just cements the important the fact of your role as dad is so crucial when your child has special needs.
Nice. Thank you for that share of that father and son. I just want to quickly add on to um, we are foundational here that dad involvement matters, but especially uniquely for kids with special needs, involvement is even more critical. And we and also getting out of that mindset, knowing I don't know how to help, I'm not equipped. Don't worry about that. Being present is more important than not having the answers. Being there is more important. Even if you don't know the answers, we're never always going to know all the answers. The importance there is present. Being present there is really, really critical. Just because you
Yeah.
don't know how to do something, it's more important that you're there.
But here's what I do know. You can do something, even if you feel like you don't know how. And whatever that one thing is, maybe it's just sitting there beside your child, oh, for half an hour every night. Like you can do something. So whatever it is, find it and do it because your role matters.
Absolutely. Let's talk about number two, practical ways to support your child.
Yeah. So, anything and everything is valuable here. So your goal is to try and find some connection, and that might be challenging with your child who has special needs. I know that I'm going to tell another story of a father that I know. His son has autism, and I mean he's generally functioning, but he's probably going to be with them most of their life. And so the way that he connects is that his son loves wrestling for some reason, and so earlier on it was they would watch wrestling on TV, and this dad, as he's developed in his career, has the ability now that they actually go to wrestling events, and they've flown throughout kind of North America going to these wrestling events, and that is the one thing where he can do that, and it helps build the connection with his son, and he just does it. right? I mean, does he love wrestling? No, but he loves his son, and so he chooses to support and put his son into these situations that leaves his son feeling fulfilled, and that's the one thing that he's been able to do. So, whatever you can, find the one thing that connects you to your child, or your child feels fulfilled, or like Rick's son, he when he was out running, he's like, "Dad, I love that." So he's like, "I'm going to do more of it."
Yeah, I
You
love
got
what
some
you're.
things to add too, Ed.
Yeah, there. I look at the say the CCs, connection and communication. So find practical ways to connect with your child, and also find practical ways to communicate with your child. And whether it's verbal, whether it's just being there, also supporting routines. And if they're, and again, we're not experts on this, we're providing suggestions that we've learned from others who've shared it with us, but being an advocate for them at home, at school, etc. And also just, encouraging independence and confidence. Be supportive when they're doing great stuff, cheer them on. Every little thing matters. So encouraging their independence when they're doing something that they hadn't done before, you're in there cheering on, say, hey, that's really good. That's fantastic. And all this will increase the emotional connection and also the building trust between dad and child. These little things can make a huge difference in the long-term relationship in raising a child that has some of these special needs. Let's go to our
Yeah,
father.
if we could,
Oh,
Ed, I'd like
go ahead.
to go back briefly to we talk about this idea of supporting routines or supporting any therapy or additional medical support, as well as advocacy. Again, from personal experience dealing with my daughter when she had was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis, this is an area that I actually wish I was better at. And so, knowing our strengths is important, but advocating for your child's needs, or there's a particular systemic way that they might approach things that may not actually be what's best, or may not be what's relevant for your child or for your family. And so, you know, dads, if you are in that setting, I want to encourage you, and not necessarily because I didn't do it and I would have liked to have done more of it, but I want to encourage you that this is an important role. And if I had somebody talking to me about it while I was going through it, I wish they would have told me, Drew, you got to do more of this. You got to get in there and advocate. You got to not accept some of these answers that people are giving you respectfully, clearly, and with defined rationale. But you can't just accept, and you need to push back a little bit in the ways that are going to actually be effective in moving it forward for your child and family. So I don't want to gloss over that. I think that's a really important role that dads can and may have the ability to play quite well with their strengths.
All right. And then finally, support for the supporter, taking care of you.
Yeah, well, this is a common theme around parenting, and we talk about this, especially for dads who are accustomed to carrying a heavy load, taking on the demands, being full, responsible, provider, protector, those types of things. All good and important, but you know, at a certain point in time, the well can run dry, and especially when you're taking on these additional areas, supporting children with special needs. And so, the most say unselfish thing you can do is actually care for yourself so that you can get back in the ring and fight for or push or support the people that you need, who need you in their life. And so you've got to find ways to take care of yourself, dad. So whether that's finding a healthy outlet for the stress that you're experiencing, or for to hear your fears, concerns, the angst of dealing with a system that may not be providing the support you want, um, you know, getting some personal counseling, or just finding another community that understands you, whether you play sports, whether you're involved in music, whether you're involved in the arts, whether you just, like, getting together with the guys and playing poker, or letting off some steam because you're going out and you're doing other stuff that's, again, healthy and reasonable, about having fun. Those, I think, are really important to ensure that you're still have those in your life, even as you go through the challenges of raising children with special needs.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add on to that. Another support system, if it's possible, sharing your journey with your partner. If you can do that, that also makes it an easier
But
journey.
to me, if you're in a relationship, that's a must, right? So I think that's what you're saying. Like if you're in a relationship, you share that journey with your partner. Like you're both working together
Mhm.
at this. But if obviously if you're not in the relationship anymore, you know, man,
100%.
yeah.
100%. Work together and win together. That is really key. All right. That is it from the episode. Let's do our three takeaways again. First off, presence is powerful. You don't need dad, father, or male caregiver to have all the answers. Your steady presence matters most. Number two, connection starts with understanding. Learn your child's unique needs and communicate with patience and empathy. And finally, you need support too. The stronger you are, the more support you can offer your child. Drew, do we have a resource that we can share with our audience in regards to this conversation today?
Well, I think the resource we have is our Fatherhood Fundamentals course. It focuses on your role, which in the children with special needs, sometimes your role may not be as crystal clear, but at least helps you identify, how do I move forward in defining my role for myself. It talks about how do you manage the different demands on your time, sort of, and helping you with a solution of priorities. It also then helps you with in terms of the appropriate winning mindset, which when you're facing the challenge of a special needs child, your mindset and your attitude is going to make a big difference. And so, to me, that the Fatherhood Fundamentals course is a best resource for dads who are going through this circumstance. All dads, but certainly dads with children with special needs.
Fantastic. Well, that is a wrap. And want to say, as always, thank you for taking the most important thing, your time, to have the listener watch the Dad Central today. And as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace, and we'll catch you soon. Be well and keep the faith.